What? That quick? What? That quick? What? That quick? Okay, shut up then. So, we are fucking back. And shite. Alright, I hope it works. So, what we're gonna be doing, I changed the mic, I hope it's good now. I hope it's all nice and well and fucking loud enough. Because my mic settings were fucked. My mic volume was way too loud, but I hope that now it's fixed. Okay. So we were working on the sticky yesterday, which is our little checklist. That's what you see in the corner. And the first thing is put a Python bow around it. So let me explain what I mean by that. If we go back and I can type into sticky. So Python is a programming language. Like, yeah. But you can also write programs. Oh, for fuck's sake, what? Subscribe to earn. Shut up, Twitch. I don't give a fuck about your stupid bullshit. I hope this is enough in volume, because I don't know. So, Python can also be a scripting language and a programming language. And what we have here is a script, right? It basically goes from top to bottom, executing these things, right? Importing stuff, defining classes, initializing variables, performing checks, and then here we have the main loop of the program. And it's all great, it's all cool, it's a script, but I would kind of like it to make it an actual program, right? The way that you do it is that you throw this shit in a main function, right? Like most normal programming languages have it. So you go def main, and then all your shit goes into there. The problem with that is that it can get the main can get rather busy, right? And for instance, we also want to fucking accept the checklist file from the command line args. That means we have to like parse them at some point. Now, usually do that at the beginning of your program. So you have like def main, and then in here you have like parse the command lines, and like get the stuff from it. If it doesn't exist, throw an error type shit. Now, doing that over and over is a bit shit. So what happened is that the Python developers have invented fucking argparse. Okay. Oh hell yeah, guys. No, don't translate, never. What? Only some of it is translated, that's funny. Hi guys. Bruh. Yo. Oh god, okay, I can't read this. Anyway, they made the argparse library, which is made exactly for this case. You set up your shit and then off you go and so on. But before we can do that, we gotta put everything into this main function. Now, if Python goes over it, it just defines the main function, but it doesn't call it. One thing you can do is that at the bottom, you can just say main and call it. Which is good, but the problem is, when you do an import statement like this, what it does is that it goes and executes everything in this a file. Basically, there's a JSON.python somewhere, and Python goes and executes the entire code in here. And the problem is, if we were to make a separate program in here, a separate Python script, and import sticky, all of a sudden this entire code would execute. The way to go around it is that instead of just calling main, what you do is that you check if this is equal to this string. Mostly you will hear this being called if name equals main, and basically that checks if you run the script as the main executable. We can actually test this. If I go micro a.py and I do I print this is a, and then I print name. If I go execute it, this is a, and we get main. If I do micro b.py and I print this is b, and I print the name, it says this is b. If I now go into b and I put this behind a greeting function, yes, and then at the bottom we say greet, or greeting rather, and I execute b again, it will say this is b. If I execute a, this is a, we go into a and we will import b. It should work. There you go. So although we only called a, it still executed b. What in the fuck is this? Oh, hang on. Okay. It still executed, although we called a, it still executed b. And then it executed a. And because this import goes and executes all of b, which means defining it and then performing the greet. If we wrap now, hang on. If I do fboy magic and we do it like this, and we do it to a2, I run again. So it executes b, the name is b, and then it goes over to a, and the name is main. That means if we put this greeting thing in the if the name is equal to main, i.e. when we execute it as the primary thing in a Python script, then we only get a. If we now go into here and do b.greet, greeting, how do you write this shit? Then it will call the greeting function from b that we defined. It doesn't execute the greeting thing though. We decided as the A program that we're gonna go and get the function, and then it executed. This is a. So that's the reason why you wrap shit at if name equals main. Let me just delete this shit. Fucking how do I do this? A. Huh. Okay. So we can go back. Micro sticky. That's such dumb. And we have to find this. We haven't defined it. Right, it's basically all of this indented. But not really, because here we gotta parse the command lines, right? So that means we gotta use argparse. Let me whip up my code that I wrote on my second screen. Okay, so the way that you use the argparse thing is that first we have to import it. Then we have to create a parser, right? Parser equals arg parse dot argument parser. There you go. And then we do here the arguments. So for instance, parser dot add argument. And then in here we define stuff. So for instance, we can say checklist. I think that's about it. And then we do args dot parse. Sorry, args equals parser dot parse parse args. Right, and this args thing will contain the thing we parse. So if we execute it now, right? See, so if sticky, we can do help on the checklist. The following arguments are required in the checklist. So if I do help, then it prints the help. So positional arguments checklist, we gotta input the checklist, and then show this message, exit the show this help message and exit. That's one of the things that comes automatically when using argparse. Now, the way that we access which checklist is that we do args dot checklist. So the name that we input in here when we add the argument becomes the name that we put in here. So let me just replace all the save file JSON with the args.checklist. Checklist.text. Now that's for the stream text file. That's fine. So let's remove this and go and run it. So if I do Python sticky, it should exit and don't do anything. I think it should. I made a copy of the checklist if anything goes wrong, so we can check it. Okay. Yeah, it didn't execute that. So now I can go save file.json. There you go. And it created, and it realized, okay, so these are the arguments that it parsed. I don't know why it's called namespace, but it is. Here's the checklist, and then it points to save file.json. So now I can do my usual checklist things. I don't really need to do it right now. And just exit. Amazing. What's a bit shit is that, I don't know if you remember yesterday when we were adding a bunch of stuff. For some reason, it kept on like printing shit. I think at the end of the VOD you can basically see a bunch of messages anytime I type the thing in, and it's a bit shit. Well, Python also has a solution for it, which is the logging library. Yeah, you use it in a bit of a weird way, but I have it all figured out. So the way that you use it is that I usually, after this step, I go and make a logger. Well, first of all, we have to import it. Import logging. If I can fucking type logging. There you go. So, what I do is that we make a logger. No, it's not. It's get logger. The logging library in Python is a bit strange because, as you might realize, a bunch of things in Python have like underscores in their name, or they're pretty simple, right? Like add argument uses underscores, parse args uses underscores. Whoever wrote the logging library forgot it, and then they used this convention where you capitalize the words instead of having them separated by an L, by underscore. I don't know why they did it, but they did it. So one thing that we gotta do is we have this logger, and we have to set its level. We have to set the debug level. The reason being, let me copy it over from my text file. Has to be debug, so the logger captures everything. I don't know really why it works this way, but the way that you do is that you have a main logger that captures everything, and then you have different handlers to output it against. As far as I get it, it's a bit strange. Now, sometimes I want to print things to the console, right? And the way that this logging thing works, that you have one main logger that you send shit to, and it basically has different handles it sends it to. So for instance, you can either have like a file that you send it to, or you can have it be the console that you send it to. So I'm just gonna copy this piece of shit because this is what's called boilerplate, right? It's basically just like, I don't know why it needs to be this difficult, but it is. Yeah, we make a console handler to send the shit out to the console. We set the level based on the log level given to the args. Now, we haven't done that yet. We don't have this args.log level. We only have args checklist. Let me add the argument in. So we have here the checklist. Before that, I'm just gonna add the log level. And yeah, basically it defines a flag log level, similar to what -h is. It's just a flag. It's not, you know, an argument supplied to the thing. It's more of a little flag. I don't really know how to explain it. The default is the default logging level, which also doesn't exist. Let me quickly add that in. There you go. So the default logging level is going to be info, and you have choices debug, info, wording, error, critical, and so on. Like, there's a help string, and then the type is str, which is important because technically for this checklist type you can pass in a number, but that doesn't make any sense. So let's set type to string, maybe. Actually, we can build the path. This is the same path that we used up here. I think that's fine. Right, did I miss something? Yes, okay, so we set the console output based on the log level of the arguments that we pass in. And then like this is just, oh yeah, this is because I'm using something, but we're gonna add that in later. This get added is the actual Pythonic way of doing it. Nobody gives a fuck. And then we have to set up a formatter for some fucking reason. And then, like, I don't know what the fuck we do. Okay, and that's done. So, It's basically this stuff. So I can close this now. So yeah, at the beginning of main, we set up our bunch of shit, and then the actual main function begins. Now, it's getting a bit long, right? And it's probably gonna get longer the more that we add to it. Hang on. So, right. And I think it's a bit shit. So you have all of this default shit that you do. Like, this is stuff that I always do in front of like the Python scripts, just so that they're a bit nicer to work with. And then you have the actual main function down here. For some time ago, I did it in here, but then it seemed to break a couple of things. Reason being, things like this logger and this console handler and these args and so on, they got defined globally as if they were like this checklist thing. And I fucking hated it, so I put in the main function. I was like, God, this is getting quite long. How about at the end of this point, I take all of this code and I take it out of this main function. And then I make a new function. And I call it actual main. Right, so it's a bit let me adjust it. There you go. Now, one problem with it is that we use args.checklisted here, but actual main doesn't have the arguments. Well, we can pass in the checklist file. Checklist file. Now let's say path. Alright, now we can use this instead of everywhere here. Alright, let me just look for args.checklist. Here it is. You know, do we use this file name anywhere else? Yeah, like just probably. No, we use here. These are two different things. Okay. Right. But then we have to pass it down here. So down here, at the end of main, we call actual main. With args.checklist. And now things are a bit nicer, right? So you have your code up here. So you have your classes and then your actual mains and so on. And then down here you have the boilerplate that's needed to do it. Put a Python boron. Okay, one last thing that we can do is that we are using Python, and Python subscribes to this idea called OOP, or object-oriented programming. The whole idea of it is that back in the day, you basically had data separated from the function. So if you had this item, right, then you basically had done and title as fields in this item, and then you had functions like init item, and then you would pass in done and title, and you would get back an item. And then you had, for instance, like wrapper item, which takes an item, and then it would return like a string or something like that, or maybe it would just print it out directly into the thing. At some point, some people went, it's a bit weird that we have these things which are clearly together, separated. Well, how about we put it together? So they invented this idea of a class, where you have the data the class has, together with the functions that it uses. And it's quite an alright idea, right? I don't personally like it, but it's just my personal opinion. Doesn't mean that I can't write software with it. But one of the things is that there's still a lot of code that you have to write, right? Like yesterday I had to write this init code. I had to look up how to do that. Then I had to write the wrapper just to get some good looking things printed out to the screen. And some people want, we have these languages which are totally based on this OOP thing. And you cannot make a separate like a data container and then the functions with it. So how about we go back, right? And Python has this thing called data classes. So, so this is exactly, this is just a data container, and then you have a function along with it. And it generates the init itself, it generates the wrapper itself, and so on. So it's a convenience thing, right? Well, I thought, oh fuck it, why not use it? So it uses a new thing of Python called decorators. I'm not gonna go explain it. It's a bit meh. Right, so we're done. We basically remove this part. We can remove this part. We say that done is a boolean. We can have it false by default, and then we can do title, which is a string, and then we don't need the wrapper anymore. And that should technically work, right? Let me look for the code, right? Okay, we did a bunch of changes. Let's go and run Sticky. But I guess you gotta do. There are some like things that you gotta make sure you do them in the right way. Is there some sort of way on how to use it? Well, I guess I guess it just means that I gotta go in and I gotta put down below title. Check this is quite right. So now we do save file. And there you go. It loaded it and everything. And put a Python bow around it, except the checklist file from command line args. We did it. So it's great. Let's add. Well, actually, I just realized something. If we exit, and then I pysticky test.json. False. What the fuck? False and it's done? Alright, I fucked up a bit. But hang on, so now it made checklist.txt, right? It changed that, but we still have the save file JSON. Yeah. And it made a new one? Test, yes. False. Ah, okay. So the title is false and done is a string called testing things, right? Why is it like that? It shouldn't have mattered. That's what I'm thinking. Like, I don't. Just because we changed the order of it shouldn't mean that it. Ah, no, it did because it's this. Ah, okay. One way we can change this is by saying KW. I think, is it in here? Hang on. KW only, right? So what that does, if we check the thing there, if true, the default file value false, then all fields will be marked as keyword only. So if we go in and make a keyword only equals true, and then I try to execute the code, test.json, right? So it complains because for item you need both specify what is done and what is title. So I can go in here and I can say done equals, actually I don't know if I can do that, or if it has to be in a certain order. Nah, okay, that also requires that. Checklist append item false. Ah, motherfuckers. Hey? There it is. Why didn't it find it? Done, and this is the title. Join together. Okay. There you go, now it works, okay. Okay. So, anything now? How can I get the thing back to the correct checklist? Well, if I do the save file and I do add nice, then it would change it. Yeah, okay. That's a bit of a problem that we gotta fix at some point. No, I can do add maybe have different checklists for each JSON. Can I add it like that? And it just does it? Okay. Well, we don't have marking of the items. Apart from that, if I go in and I do it myself, like put a Python bow around, we did that. Except the checklist file from command line logs, we did that. Add marking, we haven't done that yet. Do I want to do it? Honestly, I'm a bit tired. Hang on, no, we gotta change stuff. We did the logging, but we actually haven't done anything with the logging yet. I think we do it like this. Okay. So each print we have should become a logger dot. Let's make this info for now. I think if we do this, no. Alright, so we got logger.info, and then if I do, that's not it. How do I go to the next one? No, it only works again. Logger.info. Logger. Well, this is an error. Where's Brax? Brax is dead. Why did that one pop up? Sorry. How long have you been able to hear me twice? Fuck. Everything breaks. Right, so here's the error. Fuck, bro. I wish I could disable that. Oh, I can. By just turning the volume down. Good idea. Okay, I gotta remove it from the thing. I gotta remember that. I'm gonna do this info. I'm gonna do this info. Okay, we change all the printing to logger infos, which means if I go and try it, except that one I forgot it, and I do right, it looks a bit more busy, but it's better, I think. Looks like shit. But yeah. Right. Where's the last print? There it is. We can just remove, we don't need it. Okay, that's done, that's done. Add the marking of the items. Yeah. Let me think about it. Marking. Right then, so one thing that we gotta do is when somebody tries to market it, they need to see what things are in the checklist. So we have to sort of kind of print it to the screen, the checklist with the indexes. As far as I remember, there is something like that in here. Oh, I don't. I think it was called like enumerate or some bullshit. Oh god. There it is. We turn an enumerate op. So yeah. So you. Yeah. Okay. So if we pop back in, and before we read the input, we will print the thing. So for we have the checklist here? Yes, we do. Okay, so 4, what was it? Index, item, new, checklist. By the way, whoever the fuck you want to be called, can you give me a mic check? How is the volume? How is it good? Is it shit? Is it amazing? So basically need the number in here, and then the little X boy. And the title. So I'm gonna steal code for myself. So this is index. This is mark. This is item.title. Okay, before that happens, we are going to print a new line just so that it looks a bit different. So if I do pi sticky save file. Great, so they have a list of things, and so now we can do things like mark 2. And this is if mark 2 and on command and it prints it shit and it's fucking alright. Let's exit. Where do we do the things? Here it is. Okay, so what we can do is we go elif pop equals mark. Then we gotta pop again. Can you imagine that? And we can go index is equal to list dot pop 0. So we pull the thing at the front again. And then basically we gotta change it. I wonder if it's as easy as going into the checklist at that index and then setting .done. So here in this step we get a specific item from the checklist, and then here we access its done property. And I'm gonna set it to true. Let's see if that works. List indices must be integers or slices, not string. Right, so 2 is a string, so we gotta convert it to an integer, the way that you do it in Python. So you pop in and you wrap an int around it. Now, we haven't done anything with arrows yet. The only arrow that we have in here is this, which is a bit shit, but this will come in the refactor step. So clean up some of the code is basically when I'm gonna do a big refactor. Alright, okay, and then mark number 2, so mark this one. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Okay. Great. So we have marking done. Look at that. I'm probably gonna do deleting next because it's quite easy. Actually, I'm gonna put some to-dos in here. To do, maybe make a function that convert a item to string. Okay. Now we do all this and with exit break. What if the user didn't supply anything after mark, and or if it isn't a string, isn't an int? And at that point, you're just gonna die. But for now, we're not gonna give a fuck. Let's do delete. Okay. So we want to remove an index from a list. Let's pop over to this boy and let's look up the list boy. Where is the... Jeez, memory view, what in the fuck? Guys, I just want... I need this for lists. Sort tuple, what the fuck, guys? Remove the first item from a sequence where... No, I wanna remove a specific index. Remove item, oh no, this. I think that's it, right? Let's try it. So, we have to pop the index again. Let me copy these two lines. And then we do del checklist at index. I don't know if that works. It's a bit scary, isn't it? Fuck it, let's try it. So we have the list of things. We have this like 6 and 8, so let's delete things at the bottom. Delete 8. I didn't write checklist correctly. Delete checklist thing at index 0. Hey. I removed it. Delete 6. And it renumbered it, see? So what was previously 6, or what was previously 7, is moved over into 6. Okay, so that's quite nice. Okay. We can now mark 3. Editing certain items. Ooh, we can delete the things that we have done. So I can delete 0. Yeah. Delete 0, deletes the front. How cool. Okay. Editing certain items, clean up some of the code, maybe have different checklists for each JSON question mark. It is a lot of it is a lot of things in here, right? But we can clean that up by putting some things in debug or something, right? Very cool, very, very, very cool. Yeah, so I have my copy, but I don't actually need it. Alright, do I have anything in the notes? It's all of them. Well, we haven't added on there, but gotta think about how we're gonna do it. Well, quite cool, isn't it? Yes. So let me go. And how much did we do today? Oh god. It is Windows. I am so fucking sorry. I'm gonna leave. Oh, I wanna leave all of this in because fuck it. Okay. Right, we have PyCache. Right, okay. Right. Yeah, so cleaning up will also require some other things. Yeah. But that's gonna be done later. So yeah, I think we have done great for now. It's almost an hour. Let me quickly commit that stuff. What do I have? Let's go add MIT license. Edit argument parsing logging marking and deleting. Also tiny refactor. Hey. Alright. That's updated. Yeah, great. It works. Amazing. Okay, that's gonna be it for me for today. Tomorrow I will not stream, by the way. I'm gonna pull an all-nighter tonight, so I'm gonna be fucked tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, the checklist works, so yeah, maybe next time we're gonna get some more stuff done. I have to think about editing, and I have to do one more, the ignoring of this PyCache thing, but I'm gonna do that. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I quite like where this is going. Yeah. Anyway, good night, and see you in 2 days, because tomorrow I won't be on. So yeah. Bye bye.